Alright guys, welcome to Next Gen Rugger. So we're at the final stage now where we're looking at the Cape Storm for the All-Star Fantasy Draft. Now remember, no Craven Week this year, so we here at Next Gen Rugger decided that the class of 2020 deserved their own version of Craven Week, and it was all based on a voting system. And there have been 6 regions, with the Cape Storm being the final region. Stick with us until the end of the video, because obviously the next stage will be the South African All-Star team, and we'll be explaining details to you right at the end of this video on the next stage and how we're going to go about voting for that. So if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as bell notification, and as soon as new videos are released, you'll be the first to know. Now this was by far the most difficult out of all the regions. Votes were extremely tight. We received over 10,000 total votes on this one, guys. It wasn't even close in terms of overall voting. And even then, you're looking at single-digit differences between the votes. In fact, the voting was so hectic in the first 2 days. My service provider contacted me and said I had to upgrade the account. Literally, the people of the Western Cape almost crashed my website. So that just goes to show how popular the game is in the region, and with all the quality schools in the Cape Storm region, it is no surprise how tight the voting was on this. But let's get straight into it. So we have at loose head Abraham Reneke. He's at Paul Boys currently. Now Brahm unfortunately was unable to get us a quality photo. So if you're wondering why this didn't come out with the best quality, that is the reason why. But we still had to put him down. And look, I can't put into words how much I rate this guy. When you took a look at earlier this year, the Monument versus Paul Boys game, Monument have an unbelievable front row, and the Paul Boys guys really stood up. I mean, him and Seb were unbelievable, and I think he would have definitely made the Craven Week team for Western Province. Might even have made a push for SA Schools or SA Schools A. He's going to be continuing his rugby education at the Sharks next year, and just a very, very high quality player. And one of the things that South African rugby's been talking about a bit is that we're fantastic in the Tighthead department, but in the junior ranks they're a bit concerned about loose heads. So I think players like Abraham Reneke have definitely got a clear path towards their future, and definitely can't wait to see him next year in the Under-20 Championship. Then at hooker, very, very tight vote here, but ultimately it went to Rondebosch's Lucanio Vokozela, aka Bupa. And Bupa's an absolute beast, guys. I mean, I watched quite a bit of his footage last year. There are quite a few games where he played in the loose, and he's just absolute power. Loves the physical side of the game. Very mobile, very explosive. I think he's got a future either at hooker or loose forward. It depends where Western Province want to play him, because he obviously signed for Western Province. And the nice thing about Bupa as well is he came through a mentorship program, that takes guys from sort of disadvantaged backgrounds and, trains them in rugby. And him and Lumla Nunu, a prop, have come through the system. And, in the future we'll be going in depth about this academy. And, Lumla and him are the first graduates. And, I mean, these are 2 fantastic players. So, I'm really, really keen to see where this program goes, because I mean, if your first 2 graduates are players of this quality, I think it says a lot about the program and what the future is going to bring from this program. So very, very exciting times ahead. And Bupa, very down to earth guy, nice guy, and I believe someone that's got a massive future in the game. He's a powerhouse, guys. Just keep an eye on him for the future. Trust me. Then at Tighthead, what a tight vote this was, guys. I'm talking 3 to 4 votes in this one, so tight. But ultimately it went to Wynberg's Big Phil Masango. And we've talked a lot about Phil through this channel, and we rate him very highly. And obviously the community agreed. He just pipped out Seb Lombard, who's one of the best tightheads in the country as well. So it just goes to show you how much depth there is in the Western Cape in terms of the rugby. Phil's a powerhouse, definitely a bright future in the game. I believe he's going to the Sharks next year. So definitely excited to see where he goes in the game. He's a proper old school prop. yet mobile, and basically adds so much to the team dynamic. And someone that we're really looking forward to see in the future. Another guy, I mean, this is the thing with all these guys when you get in touch with them and all the rest of it. There's no ego involved. They're hard workers. They concentrate on their game, and they're fantastic ambassadors for their schools and their families and all the rest of it. Phil's definitely up there. Then we go to lock. The first lock, none other than Connor Evans. That shouldn't be much of a surprise, even though there's so much quality in the Western Cape in the lock departments. Connor, we ranked as our number one prospect for the year, and there was some controversy around that. I mean, whenever you do any ranking, you're going to get some emails from our irate parents and old boys and all the rest of it. But, we steadfast in it. We really, the guys that were part of the PAX committee in terms of selecting that 100, we really do believe Connor has an amazing future in the game. And he's a player that we really sort of expected might take an overseas contract and end up playing for England. We really thought that. But it's fantastic news that he'll be staying in the Western Cape, playing for Western Province next year. Hopefully we can retain him. In terms of his future, he's going to make an exceptional lock. He can also be an exceptional loose forward. Very versatile. And high work rate, doesn't let the noise affect him. And, someone that's just definitely, he's got all the ingredients to make it all the way to the top. So he's someone we're definitely going to be watching very closely in the future. The other lock, another very, very tight vote, but it ultimately went to Marco de Wit from Boland Landbou. Marco, part of the EPD squad, so definitely on the Saru radar. There's some confusion as to what his best position is. He's someone that's been looked at as an Openside flank. I really like him at lock. I think he adds that extra athleticism and sort of dynamism, so to speak. He's got a lot of pace. Very, very good in the loose. Deceptively quick, and very, very good in the line out. Exceptional in the line out. I mean, if you take a look at his footage, he makes quite a nuisance of himself in the line out. So nothing confirmed yet, but the rumour mill suggests that he's moving up north. So that could be to the Bulls or to the Lions. And from what I'm told, he might be utilised over there as a loose forward rather than a lock. But regardless, I think Marco's got a great future in the game. We did a highlights reel on him earlier in the season. So, someone that we do believe has a big future in the game as well. Next up, we have Eric Besson from Paul Jim is our blindside flank selection. Paul Jim were just going to be unreal this year. And I think with him and Low Null in the loose trio for Paul Jim, I think they would have caused all sorts of hassles for opposition this year. This was definitely a dream team in terms of Paul Jim. And I think it would have been so tight between them and Gray for number one. Eric, very good player, was part of the mix last year. And, it's just disappointing not to see a guy of this talent, have a chance to shine in his 2020 year. But someone again that we don't really know what the future holds for him. There's been no confirmation of where he'll be moving next. So we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't end up in France or anything like that, because, you'd like to see talent like this remain in the country and obviously in the region as well. Then Openside flank, we have Luca Ribbons from Paul Boys. Now, Luca's in grade 11, but he plays this game, just watching the Monument game and all the rest of it, he plays this game like he was just born to play it. And I think that's just genetic speaking over there, guys. His old man was a hell of a rugby player as well. And the apple definitely doesn't fall too far from the tree over here. He's going to be one of the best prospects in the country next year. It's not even a question if he's going to make SA schools or not. I mean, you can already put his name down for selection there. We over here, we rate him extremely highly. I mean, this is someone that you really got to watch next year and is really going to have a standout. Paul Boys are going to have an incredible team on paper next year. And I think he's going to be one of the leaders of that team. So really looking forward to seeing him next year. And definitely keep an eye on the top 100 rankings, because he'll definitely be up there. Then at 8th man, we have Cameron Hanekom from Paul Boys. Another tight vote here, but Cameron edged it out. So I believe he played Grand Como under 16 for Boland and then made the move over to Paul. added more dynamism and a sort of a power element at the back row for the Pole team. And I think he would have, I said earlier this year that I didn't think Pole were going to be that strong this year compared to previous years. Now, when you say that, you're not trying to belittle the team or anything like that. It's just that, the standard of rugby there is extremely, extremely high. But that first game against Monument, I think I saw something there that made me sort of think, yeah, look, I've got to swallow my words over here. This is a very special team yet again from Pole. Yet again, every year the Pole teams are just unbelievable. And I think Cameron would have definitely been in the mix for SA Schools SAA. Very strong runner, very powerful, and this guy plays his heart out. There's not a game where you see the guy play where he doesn't give it absolutely everything. So he doesn't rely just on his talent alone. He's also got the work rate, and that's why I believe that he'll be a massive success in the future. Confirmed move to the Bulls. I think him, Willie Potgieter and Maton are going to be one of the most exciting loose forward trios in the country next year, and all of them could go on to play Super Rugby very quickly. It's a very, very special group that they're developing there at the Bulls. And obviously with Wessel du Plessis coming there as a coach, you can see the Bulls are building the foundations for an absolutely amazing future. And I think Cameron's going to be a big part of that future. Then we have at Scrumhalf, Bradley Davids from Paul Gym. It was interesting because at the beginning of the year, when they played against Pretoria Boys, he was utilised as a fly-half. And I think virtually any school in the country, if he was at last year, if he was at any other school than Poldrum, I think he would have been playing first team, no doubt about it. Obviously, when you got Bobby Alexander in front of you, it's just a case of you have to wait your turn. You know what I mean? Bobby Alexander is one of the best school scrum halves I've seen over the last decade. So it just shows you that was the quality of player that was blocking him on the first team circuit last year, And, he's a very, very intelligent rugby player, got a great boot, got a great reading of the game. And so disappointing we didn't get to see him this year. No idea about his future either, but I think someone that's definitely got a huge, huge future in the game. Then at fly-half, who else but Sasha? And I don't say that lightly, because if you take a look at the Western Cape, you got Kian Davis from Rondebosch, who's an amazing player. You got Kompion van Ludwig from Pole Boys, who's exceptional. So the level of competition is crazy, and Sasha is quite comfortable here in terms of the votes as the winner, just showing you how everyone rates him and how much we rate him as well. So it was not much of a surprise to see him win the vote over here. Absolutely fantastic news that he's going to be staying in South Africa, signed with Western Province, because I think he holds a British passport, if I'm not mistaken, so he could have gone over there. If he decided tomorrow to go play club rugby in England, I think 2 years he'd be a regular, 3 to 5 years he could be an England international. I'm serious. This guy's just absolutely exceptional. And he's going to be a big part of the under-20 circuit next year. And in my opinion, he has to be in the SA under-20 squad reckoning for next year. He has to be. He's just a very, very special player. And like I've said in previous videos, I just hope that dynamism and that unpredictability and that sort of thinking, quick thinking aspect of his game isn't trained out of him. I just hope people allow him to play his natural game, because he's an exceptional talent. And what a heartbreaking that we didn't get to see Bishop's 2020, guys. Heartbreaking. Probably their best team since 2006 on paper. If you take a look at that Paul Gym Bishop's game on the Western Province Rugby Day, if you haven't seen it yet, please just go and watch that game and just see the quality of the rugby that's coming out of South African youth level. It's exceptional, and it gives you a lot of confidence in the future as well. And I think Sasha's going to be a name that is going to be on everyone's lips in a couple of years. Then left wing, we have another special player. There's so much talent in the Western Cape. Ebenezer Chimango. And what a powerhouse this guy is. He runs with purpose. He's just built. His muscles have muscles, basically. And, he's so powerful. He's so dynamic. He's so athletic. Very, very high rugby IQ. There's not enough I can say about how much we rate this guy. So he's in grade 11 now, I believe. So we're actually going to be able to see him play next year. Now, I won't be eligible for Craven Week or SA Schools or anything like that, but it's fantastic. At least we will be able to get another year of Chimanga. And, that's just going to be fantastic, because it's a pleasure watching this guy every time he plays. Very, very exciting player. He's been put in at centre. He's played wing before. But I think in terms of the big picture and in the future, I really think he can develop into a world-class wing. So can't wait to see what happens with Ebenezer. Then we have at inside centre, very tight vote here as well, but it ultimately went to Jordan Fenter from Porus. And yet another player we've spoken a lot about this year. He's able to overcome a lot in his life. A lot, and he's taken everything on the chin. Just works, and I think goes without saying, he got rewarded with that contract in Edinburgh. So I think it will be sooner rather than later, where you'll see Jordan in a Scottish jersey. I think he made the right choice there, moving over to Scotland. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be able to compete in South Africa. I mean, he's an elite athlete. He'll be able to compete anywhere he goes. But I think in terms of a clear pathway where he can go to the top and play the Rugby World Cup, for example, obviously it goes without saying that going to Scotland will be a very, very quick pathway for him. And obviously he qualifies because of his passport status. Just, all-round good guy, down to earth. If you want to check out his highlights video, we've done that for him as well. And you can just see the quality of his game. Loves the physical side of the game, but yet not someone that just relies on his physicality. He's also got a rugby IQ that's very, very high. So, he's able to spot the gaps, create space, and, overall reading and vision of the game is good. Very, very mature beyond his years. Definitely going to go very, very far in the game. And, so we might see him in a Scottish jersey at Ellis Park one day against us, but we still got to back him. Anyway, so moving on to the next player, we have Ethan James at outside centre. Another part of the Poljum machine this year. The backline from Poljum would have just been so exciting to watch this year. Just so much pace, vision. Couldn't say enough about it. Now, he would have likely partnered with John du Toit at centre, and that probably would have been the premier centre partnership in the country this year. I don't think it would have been close, to be honest with you. The two of them have been playing well from a young age group together, I'm told. And, there's a lot of footage on Ethan online. And if you guys want to take a look at it, just go, do yourself a favour and watch. Because his ability as a centre is second to none. I mean, massive future in the game, but another player, we don't really know what's happening with him, where he signed a contract, where he's going to be moving, what the future is. But whatever happens, the future is very, very bright for Ethan James. Make no mistake about that. Right wing, probably one of the best wings, if not the best wing in the country, Kerwin Goetze. And, what's left to say about Kerwin? We've said every amazing thing there is to say about him. And for good reason. He's just an exceptional athlete. If you watch the Pole Derby last year, that is as a grade 11, guys. As a grade 11, he did that. So it was absolutely unbelievable to see that talent. I mean, he basically single-handedly won the game almost. I mean, you don't want to say it was all down to one player, but Kerwin's a player where in those tight situations he can make magic happen. It's like you can't rely on pace alone as a wing. You've got to be able to understand how to open up the gaps, when to kick the ball for a chip, and he's got all of that in droves. I mean, it's very hard to put his talent into words. So I just suggest going online and taking a look at some of his footage. Now he'll be moving to the Sharks, and I'm told that he was like one of the players that is most in demand out of the group, the 2020 group. So exceptional player. He's definitely got exceptional future. I think he could be, he could make a similar impact to, like, say, a Fussy. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility that he's playing Super Rugby age 20, 21 or anything like that. I think he'll be fast-tracked, and he has to be part of the baby Bok reckoning next year. I mean, that goes without saying. So yeah, Kevin Goetze, your right wing for the Cape Storm. Our final place, fullback, yet another Paul Gym player, Matthew Jacobs. He's also going to be going to the Sharks, joining Kerwin over there. And I remember first seeing this guy at the World Schools Festival and taking a look at his running lines and his vision and his ability to open the gaps. And I thought to myself, yeah, we've got a special player. So he was blocked from a regular first team place, obviously by Tian Swanepoel, I believe, who, yet, I mean, another exceptional player. So this would have been a year where he would have stood out. And I'm just thinking what damage him, Kerwin Goetze, John Du Toit, Bradley Davids, Ethan James, all those boys together, what damage they would have caused this year. It would have been one of the most electrifying, exciting backlines of the last decade. Their game against Grey College, I think, would have been special. Would have been like the creme de la creme of school rugby. And what a way it would have been to kick off the decade. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, obviously because of the COVID situation. But Matthew, like I said, is going to be joining the Sharks next year. So, they're changing the competition format to an under-20 competition. And I think there'll be a lot more eyes on that competition. And, from our side, we'll definitely be keeping a very close eye on that. So, that's your Cape Storm team, guys. Now, I promised you that we'd be talking about the South African all-star team. So, obviously, there's 6 winners from the various regions, which means we've got 2 places per position open to make it 8 players. So what I need you guys to do is to go onto nextgenrugger.com and vote for your wildcard selection. The top 2 will be going through, and how it's based on is that all the runners-up from all the different regions have qualified. So basically you've got 6 players per position to vote from the 6 different regions. All those players were runners-up in the draft. So they are still able to qualify for the South African All-Star team. So you just need to go on there, basically vote, and then next week's video we'll be going through the wildcard winners, and then we'll start the process of selecting the South African All-Star team. Have a great week further, gentlemen. Cheers. Bye.